Attention prayer. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheist. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he in this in my commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. And I ask protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Please be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet my brothers and my sisters on this beautiful Sunday morning in the greeting words of peace. We say it in our original tongue, the language of our ancestors of Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone feeling? Beautiful. The words of Assalamu alaikum simply means peace be unto you. And sometimes we're more familiar with like a language such as Spanish, where you will hear them greet one another in hola or que paso, which means hello or what's up. But when we say it in the Arabic term of Assalamu alaikum, it is not like a hey or what's up translation. It's actually completely different. When we say Assalamu alaikum in Arabic, we're actually extending a prayer to one another. And we're saying that everything that I do, everything that I say from this moment on, I pray that you'll still be at peace. So I can't imagine that my brother would be at peace if I'm playing eye hockey with his woman. If you don't know what eye hockey is, that means when the brother puts his head in one direction, cuts eyes back at the young lady. When the brother turns around, or her spouse or a husband or a boyfriend turns around, they then cut back. We can't do that if we expect to be at peace with one another. I can't defame you. I can't speak ill about you. I can't slack talk about you. I can't do a host of things if my true intent and my sincerity says that I wish for you peace. So in the Nation of Islam, we greet in the greeting words of peace because we're bringing in a whole new reality. If we look at the contrast of how we greet one another in the world, we always say, what's cracking? What's popping? What's good? We call each other by all type of names. I heard our sisters call each other bees before. I heard our brothers call each other dogs and everything else in the books. Well, if we want to build a new reality and a new condition and a better way of life, then we have to begin to go to a higher level of civilization in just something as simple as a greeting. So I'm going to extend those words again. We say, Assalamu alaikum. And the proper response is wa alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, we thank each and every one of you for coming out this morning and just being with us. We know that in this busy world where there's so many things that we could be doing, so many distractions, so much other things that we have to handle, to give us a little bit of your time this morning is very special to us, and we don't take it for granted. We thank those who are tuned in via live webcast, who are watching online. Thank you for tuning in from all over the world. This morning, we just want to share with you the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what I love about the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, that it is not a listen and sit down type of teaching. There's an action step that comes with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So today you're going to get the first thing, which is to hear it. You're going to receive it. Then we want you to go back home, go on social media, call whoever invited you, and begin to reflect on it. And after you hear it, and after you reflect on it, there's an action principle. We want you to apply it. And I guarantee you, if you apply the little bit that you will receive today, your life and the quality of your life will improve drastically and greatly. If you look around the room, brothers and sisters, you'll see some of these beautiful black men in their beautiful FOI uniforms. You'll look around, you'll see brothers in suits and bow ties. You look over here at our beautiful sisters, you'll see them in their beautiful garments, their heads covered in all white. You may say, man, they very sophisticated. It's kind of, you might consider it as stuffy. But to help you understand why we are dressed like this, I'm just going to ask you one question. If you knew that you had a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with God himself, How would you dress? How would you behave? How would you talk if you knew that tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, your meeting, your first appointment is with God himself? I guarantee you will dress a certain way. I guarantee you will speak and present yourself a certain way if you knew that you were meeting with God. Well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, every time we look at a black man and every time we look at a black woman, we are looking at God. The only difference is, because I know what you're thinking, you looking next to you like, man, this nigga owe me money. This ain't no God, right? The only difference between the person who's sitting next to you exercising their godhood is two factors. The first one is ignorance, and the second one is sin. Those are the two things that keeps us dormant with our godlike abilities. Once we remove the veil of ignorance and we begin to clean up our lives and remove the sin, the willing wrongfulness that we do each and every day, watch how your life begins to change for the better. Your mind becomes sharper, your thoughts become clearer, your actions become purer, and you begin to manifest that godhood within. It was the intent, it is the intent of Master Father Muhammad, who we believe to be Allah or God in person, to make a nation of gods. So if you are here to just hear some good teaching and chop it up with your boys over dinner tonight, this may not be the best place for you. But if you desire to walk into a new destiny, to become a better version of yourself, to manifest the God ability within, the God ability within our sisters, then this is the teaching and the place for you. You may say, Brother Daniel, how do you know that? How can you just say that my quality of life, my condition of life will improve for the better if I just accept this? Because I personally bear witness. We, each and every one of us that you see present today, we can show you where we came from, and we can show you where we are and what we are becoming. And I bear witness personally that if you go back in my life, I'm going to go back to when I was getting out of college. If you go back to where Brother Daniel was when he was getting out of college and compare him to where he is now, my life is 100% 10 levels better. And I know that I'm not finished yet. God, you know, in the church they say, God is not finished with me yet. God is not finished with me yet. So every day I am enjoying life. I love to wake up in the morning. It's not a burden. I'm not dreary. I'm not slothful. I don't wake up aggravated because I got to go somewhere that I don't want to go. I wake up with purpose, with dignity, with energy, with life because of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have gifts and talents just like you have gifts and talents, but it is not until those gifts and talents are packaged within the framework of these teachings that you can really manifest what God intends for you to manifest. How y'all feeling? So this morning, we want to introduce this program of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad to you. And on both instances, it is also a salvation on a personal level, but it is also a salvation on a collective level. So if you accept these teachings personally in your very own atmosphere, your life will improve. But as a collective, black folks, we've tried everything else. We've tried politics. We've tried, quote unquote, a new black Wall Street. We've tried all of these different things, and we find ourselves in the same position each and every time. When will we give the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad its due diligence and begin to apply it as a collective? That will be a world based in freedom, a world based in justice, a world based in equality. Because if you ask yourself, are you satisfied with the condition of our community in 2019, your answer would be no. Well, guess what? That's not just a black thing. If you ask our Latino brothers and sisters, are they satisfied? They will tell you no. If you ask the Caucasians themselves, are they satisfied? Guess what they will tell you? They will tell you no. Well, if everybody is dissatisfied, we know, according to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, given to us by the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that dissatisfaction brings about change. So if the entire world is dissatisfied, that means that change is on the way. But in order to bring about that change, we need new men, new women with a new idea, doing new things to bring about that reality. Sometimes having that which is new may be scary. But let me just paint a couple of pictures real quick before I bring up our next presenter to show you how natural it really is. Does anybody remember the CD? Y'all remember when we had to go get the albums from the CD store? And you begin to put it in your car, and sometimes it would get jammed, and you'd be trying to figure out how to get it out of the CD player, right? And sometimes it'd get a scratch on it, and then it'd begin to skip and scratch over beats, right? Look at the old way of doing things, and now look at how we have it today, where you can play it from your phone, plug in an auxiliary cable, and stream it live. The new replaced the old, and once the new is on scene, the old begins to go away. Some of them are like, what is a CD, Brother Daniel? What is a tape, Brother Daniel? What is a VHS, Brother Daniel? I'm too young to know what that is, because the new method or the new reality just completely replaces the old, and it's completely natural. Y'all follow me? If you look at how we used to rent movies, we used to have to get up, put on clothes, get out of the house, drive in a car, go to the store, make sure you had a membership card, pay for the movie, pay for the VHS, wait in line, go back home, get you a snack on your way back to the house. Look how much time that is. But now with just the touching of an iPad, I could turn on Hulu. I could turn on any type of streaming service and begin to watch from the comfort of my own home. The new replaced the old, and now you've completely forgot that Blockbuster existed. In a minute, we're gonna completely forget that Redbox even exists, because at some point, everyone will be streaming from their new device. So if you're upset with the condition of this world, and we know that this world is based in spookism, this world is based in corrupt politics, corrupt justice system, corrupt everything, well, the new is on the way. The new is called the kingdom of God, and the scriptures is phrased or coined as the hereafter. Hereafter, not meaning after you die, we're going somewhere else. The term hereafter means here after something takes place. Well, what's going to take place? The destruction of the wicked, the removing of an old world based in white supremacy, based in injustice, based in not allowing black people to exercise the freedom that is naturally due to us. So that new world of the hereafter is going to give us freedom, justice, and equality, but that new world is being represented from this rostrum this morning. So we encourage you to listen to each presenter as they come up. Take notes if you got to. Pull out your phone, type it in. And as you begin to hear and become more enlightened, we want you to go back home, reflect on it, apply it to your life, and watch how the condition and quality of all of our lives improves for the better. I greet you as I came before you in the greeting words of peace. Please welcome our next presenter, Brother Student Minister, Tariq Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. We greet you all with the greeting words of peace in paradise. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, I just want to thank Allah for coming in the person of Master Fard Muhammad and for raising up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thus forth giving us the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. For if it were not for those three men, I probably wouldn't even be born today, but for sure I would have nothing of value to say to you this morning. Everything of wisdom, everything of value, everything of knowledge, or whatever you hear coming from me or from the presenters, we would tell you that it is not us that we got this from. We will say that we got this from three powerful men that we want to introduce and reacquaint and reintroduce to others this morning. So we always want to pay homage and give gratitude to the men that saved our lives, to the men that changed our lives, to the men who came to us when they were in an elevated place in their life. They came back to the bottom where they came from, just to raise us up, to put us back on top of civilization. So we're not coming to you as these holy men or women arrayed in garments because we think we're better than you. We're coming to you as a brother. We're coming to you as a sister. We're coming to you as somebody who can relate to you because we did not fall out of heaven. We came up out of hell just like you. So in the Holy Quran it says that on this day, Allah says, I have perfected for you your religion and have given to you Islam as a religion. Now, that word as a religion, I want you to focus on that word as, A-S. And in the dictionary, it says that as is used to indicate something that happens during the time when something is taking place. What does that mean? When God gave to us Islam as a religion, the moment he gave us that religion, something was happening in the world. We were living, and we still are living, in a world of religion, to the point where my own generation, my own peers, don't even mess with religion, because religion has been so skewed and so corrupted. As Brother Daniel said, we live in a world with corrupted politics. We live in a world with corrupted education, but we also live in a world with corrupted religion. So when Allah God came and revealed the Holy Quran to Muhammad, he said, I have given to you this day your religion, and I have given to you Islam as a religion. So very simple. Islam is not an Arab religion. So for you who think that Islam is some Arab religion, get that out of your mind. Islam is not an Arab religion. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said just last night that Prophet Muhammad was the latest exponent, the latest expression of the religion of Islam. When you study Islam, you will come to find out that Islam actually has no birth record. Did you hear me? I'm gonna say that again. Islam is older than God himself. When God created himself, Islam came along with God. So what are we introducing you all to? We're not introducing you to a religion. We're introducing you to the nature in which he created you. For the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said just last night, he said, a dog by nature barks, right? If you heard a dog in the morning say cock-a-doodle-doo, what would be going on in your mind? Something is wrong with that dog. But every morning, you could just go right next door. We have a little farm right next door. Every morning, I guarantee you that rooster will come out of his little den and give a cock-a-doodle-doo, letting you know that it's time to wake up, right? But you don't have to see the chicken to know that it's a chicken. You know that by nature, it's a what? It's a rooster, it's a chicken. So what is the nature of the black man and woman? The nature of the black man and woman is to submit their will to do the will of God. The nature of you, the black man and woman, I'm gonna take it further. The nature of a Mexican, the nature of an Indian, the nature of an original person on this planet is to obey God, is to live a righteous life. So the reason that you're catching so much hell in your life is because you're probably living a disobedient life to God. The reason why it's so much stress, so much depression, so much anxiety, check the way you're living your life. Check to see if you're living in accordance to the will and the way of God. Because by nature, you're by nature a righteous human being. Let's prove it real quick. The moment you begin to think to do something wrong, what happens? Another thought comes up in your head, doesn't it? What is that thought? What is that voice that you hear? You know that what you're about to do is wrong, but it's something that you're fighting within yourself, because what you're fighting with is really the God that is within you. I'm gonna give another example. The moment you get yourself in trouble, or the moment you caught up in a situation, what's the first thing you do? You do a prayer to God. You say, oh God, now if y'all ever had this experience, I had this experience a lot of times. I get caught up in a situation, right? There's no way out. And I say, oh God, if you get me out of this situation, this time, I swear to God, on God, that I'm gonna do this, whop the slam, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go 100 in your work, you feel me? I'm gonna do everything that you ask me to do because I know by nature what I'm supposed to be doing. But it's something in the circumstances of our lives where we just choose to disobey. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that you're not wicked by nature, you're wicked by circumstances. So we live in a world of disobedience. We live in a world of opposition to the will and the way of God, to the fact where you could just turn on your television and you see things that you know by nature are not good for us as human beings. We can just go outside and just see the condition of our community, talk to a family member. We can't even go and hang out and have a good time without somebody asking me, do I want to smoke? Why do I have to smoke or drink just to have a good time? Why do I have to turn up at a club just to have a good time? See, in this world, it's become so skewed to the point where we think we have to get high on drugs or alcohol just to have fun. I just wanted to paint that picture just to tell you that by nature, living a righteous life is actually fun. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his delegation just went to the holy city of Mecca. And in that part of the world, you don't even have to force living a righteous life. But when they came back, and when you see the presenters who went to the holy city of Mecca, they had so much fun. How could you have fun living a righteous life? Because we don't know what living a righteous life is, because we've been living in the hills of North America. But we're here to tell you, and we want to all praises due to Allah. I'm saying all of this to say this. It's a point that I'm trying to drive. When you live a righteous life, when you strive to live a righteous life, I'm telling you, just by bearing witness to it, that it just does something to your nature, To the point, as Brother Daniel was saying, he wasn't messing with you when he said he wakes up and he's looking forward to his day. When you live and try to live a righteous life, your life begins to the burden of life just begins to ease. You don't have that stress feeling. You can just pop up in the morning and just be excited. You can have energy that you never felt before. So it's to the point where you just begin to look younger. You have a glow in your face to the point where people that you grew up with, they look at you and just be like, man, there's something different about that brother. It's something different about that sister. What is it that's so different about you? When you begin to live a righteous life, the scripture says that sin is a burden. And when you have the burden of sin, it makes you actually look older. So when you release and relieve yourself of that burden of sin, you actually begin to look younger. You actually begin to look younger. Can you prove this? I mean, I'm a young man, so it'll be a little hard to prove this, so I naturally look young. But I actually have an example, and we actually have an example in our midst. And that example is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praises due to Allah. If you just go on NOI.org. He spoke last night. And when I say, brothers and sisters, this man looks so young. When I say he looks so vibrant as an 86-year young man, what created that? I'm sorry that I'm a little fumbling with my words, but I'm just excited about Islam and what it's doing for us and what it's doing for me. And it's hard to express the joy that Islam has for you, because when you get introduced or when you just study and just learn more about the teachings, it just brings a new ambiance to the point where you just experience it all over again. And that's what Islam does. It refreshes you. So when you go on the internet and you just want to refresh the page, what you got to do? You got to hit that refresh button. That's what Islam does. It refreshes you to the point where you're not the same person that you were yesterday. The more you strive to submit your will, to do the will of God, you become a new human being every day that the days go past. So I had said that a couple days ago. I said, I'm not the same person that I was yesterday, nor was I the same person that I was a week ago. And they said, well, who are you then? I said, I know that I'm becoming closer to the ultimately person that I'm supposed to be. And they said, who is that? And I said, a God. And then they looked at me, all praises due to Allah. Let me tell y'all their response before I bring up our next presenter. And it's just kicking off of what Brother Daniel said. They said, a God? They said, that is like blasphemy to say that you're like a God. And I said, why is it so easy to devalue ourselves? Why is it so easy for me to call myself a dog, or call myself a nigga, or call myself this or that? But when I try to elevate myself and call myself a God, you have a problem with it. All praises due to Allah. And then I said this, the scripture says very clearly, ye are all God's children of the Most High God. So to get back to that God state, to get from being a nigga and a dog or a bee or whatever we call ourselves that degrade us, to get back on that track of becoming a God, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the answer and the key to accessing your godhood is to accept your own and be yourself and submit your will to do the will of God. Assalamu alaikum. Please help me welcome Student Minister Abel Muhammad with a round of applause.
All praise is due to Allah. En el nombre de Allah, el benéfico, el misericordioso. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet our brothers and our sisters here, or wherever you may be watching us across the country or across the planet this morning, in the greeting words of peace, which we say in our original language of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to this morning, as we prepare to hear from student minister that we affectionately call the math doctor, Shahid Muhammad, on such a beautiful subject this morning. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Those of you who are a little bit older than Brother Tariq may remember that as a song title of a wonderful song. And as a matter of fact, it was in this type of time where people are graduating and moving on that the song was very popular approaching the summer a few years ago. And as we prepare to hear on that subject, I was thinking two scriptures came to my mind. One of them are attributed in the New Testament to Jesus, where he says in a discussion or argument that he's having with members of the Jewish community, he says to them that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make or set you free, depending on the translation. And it's interesting because whatever is holding us in bondage is apparently countered by only one thing, and that thing is the truth. We heard from Brother Daniel and Brother Tariq this morning and we can see evidence of it in our life, in our experiences in life, that something's wrong with this corrupt and wicked system that we're in. It's corrupt and it's wicked because it's based not on truth, because if it was based on truth, we'd be free. And if we were free, we would enjoy the fruit of liberty, which is peace. But if we don't have peace, then we don't really have freedom. So then we don't have joy and peace of life and contentment of mind, because something is missing from your and my, not what we've heard, but what's missing from your and my life is not just what we're seeing out in the world, but in particular, what is missing is a knowledge, which is a key to unlock us from the chains and the corruption and the sin and the wickedness that keeps us connected to that which is less than worthy of what we should be in submission to. What we want to hear today from student minister Shahid Muhammad is not just a feeling of being emotionally aroused, feeling entertained, though it will be entertaining. Not just something that will make us feel a momentary glimpse of just peace from a world of sin, though you probably already feel a bit better than we did before we came through those doors. What we want to receive today is that which will allow you and I to be free from the thinking of the enemy, free from the ways of the enemy, and to live our best life. In order to live our best life, we must know the best truth. Well, who but the best knower can give us the best knowledge and the best truth to make us the best versions of ourselves? All praise is due to Allah. It is given to us in our lessons by Master Fard Muhammad through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We are given three things that I want to raise for us as we prepare to hear from our keynote speaker. We're given the speed of sound. We're told that sound travels at the rate of 1,120 feet per second. That's pretty fast. If you could move at 1,120 feet per second, you're moving pretty fast. The next thing we're given is the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. You didn't hear that, 186,000 miles per second. Now that's much faster than sound. What does that tell us? That tells us that even though what we hear is important, it'll only move us so much and so fast. Even though what we see is important and it moves us faster, it still will only move us within a certain prescribed amount of speed. But we're given a third measurement in our lessons. We're told that thought travels at the speed of 24 billion miles per second on average. That means it could be faster. But 24 billion miles per second sounds a lot faster than 1,120 feet per second or even 186,000 miles per second. What we can glean from this is this: that even though what we say and hear is important, it's not as important as what we see or how we appear. The things we do, the things we behold with our eyes. And even though the things we do are important, both of those are less important than what we think. Because what we think can affect what we see and what we do and what we say. And ultimately, it's the speed of our thought that can move us to where we want to go faster than we ever have been or thought we could get before. So today, what we want, all praise, is due to Allah. So there's another scripture that says, be ye transformed, not by what you say, not by what you do, but by the renewing of your mind. Well, how can the mind be new, feeding on the old corrupt thoughts and ideas based on lies and deceits? That's why we thank Allah for coming in person and raising the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and gifting to us the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to leave old Brother Abel to the old. I'm ready to be renewed, and the only way I can be renewed is not by speaking better, not by looking better, but we have to think better. In order to think better, we need a superior and supreme knowledge, and that's what we're going to hear this morning from our keynote speaker. Please help me to welcome to the rostrum once again here our math doctor, our beloved student minister, Shahid Muhammad. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone feeling? How's everyone thinking? Praise be to Allah. I would like to first begin by thanking Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If it wasn't for those two mighty individuals, I wouldn't have anything of substance to say to you this morning. I also have to always, as Allah blesses me each time, to mount this rostrum, or any rostrum, but particularly this rostrum, and that is to send honor, love, and respect to our exquisite, illustrious, magnificent, royal, First Lady of the Nation of Islam, Mother Khadija Farrakhan. Praise be to Allah. I'd like to thank Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad for giving me the opportunity and the invitation to share words today. And we want to also send out love and, of course, respect to my second self, my queen, Sister Shahida Muhammad. And yesterday, Allah blessed us to do our 4th Boys to Men conference here in Chicago. We thank everybody that gave out a flyer, everybody that brought a young man to the program. We had about 80-something brothers, young brothers show up, and Allah blessed us with success. But talking about dedication, there is a brother here today that brought a group of young men, not from Chicago, all the way from Washington, D.C., and every time we have it in Chicago, he brings them from Washington, D.C. That's Brother Frank Muhammad, all the way from Washington, if you can stand up so they can see you, and all the young brothers that came with him. That was a long journey. Thank them for coming that far. All right. According to Gallup's annual Global Emotions Report, sounds deep, doesn't it? 2017, they state this: collectively, the world is more stressed, worried, sad, and in pain today than we've ever seen it. And that was 2017. 2019 has definitely turned up the stress, the worry, and the pain. Is that correct? Can we bring up? Oh, yes, thank you so much for the image of stress. All right. Now, what about America? In America, domestic surveys show that levels of stress, anxiety, and depression are high as well. Only 33% of Americans said that they were happy in 2017. What if we polled the Americans in 2019? Why is humanity so stressed? Why are Americans so stressed? Because the world has been devoured by Satan. The world has become a living hell. You do not have to die, take an escalator down to go to hell. All you got to do is wake up in Chicago, wake up in New York, wake up in America, and welcome to hell. No other place is more of a literal hell than the wilderness of North America. We see a world of chaos, confusion, poverty, crime, corruption, disease, famine, violence, and the list goes on. All this is stress. But all this stress, all this hell has led to the people all over the world being dissatisfied. And this is what Brother Tariq was mentioning earlier. Do you know white people are dissatisfied? Y'all got quiet on that one. Y'all act like y'all don't believe it. Really, they are? The brown man is dissatisfied. The yellow man's dissatisfied. Ask the red man, he's dissatisfied. But no one is more depressed, more dissatisfied around the globe, and in particular here in the hells of North America, than the black man and woman. We have reached the pinnacle, the apex of dissatisfaction. One main reason we are experiencing hell, disappointment, dissatisfaction, and stress. One main reason humanity is living on the lowest level of existence is because we are not in harmony with a universal law. We are not in congruence with a mathematical principle. Can you bring up the Fall of America, chapter 23? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this: we are living in the time when dissatisfaction is 100% throughout the world of man and mankind. Therefore, we are living among the dissatisfied persons daily and nightly. No one is satisfied, though they may be righteous. They are not satisfied because they're living among unrighteousness. So the whole entire world of the wicked and the righteous is upset due to dissatisfaction. Then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in Message to the Black Man, gives the mathematical equation I want to talk to you about. He says, Allah taught me that the present percentage of dissatisfaction is 98%, near 100%, with the present ruling powers. This 100% dissatisfied will bring about 100% change. So to me, that sounds like a mathematical equation. 100% dissatisfaction is supposed to equal 100% change. But something's wrong with our equation, because everybody's dissatisfied, but everybody ain't changing. Americans have tremendous dissatisfaction, but are not changing, not transforming, not transmogrifying their lives. The black man and woman in America is engrossed in darkness, despair, and dissatisfaction, but we refuse to change. This is what brings me to the title of today's lecture. Brother Abel mentioned it earlier, by G.C. Cameron. Most of y'all probably didn't know that was the artist, did you? G.C. Cameron wrote this song, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. Every time I hear that song, I begin to cry because I think about Cooley High and Cochise. I got to hold myself back from crying right now. Love me some Cochise, boy. But anyway, get back to the lecture. All right. The last poets also said a similar thing, but they emphasized who does not want to say goodbye to yesterday the most. The last poets had a song, and I think it was niggers, but I just changed it to Negroes are scared of revolution. Now, are we talking about armed revolution? I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking of mental, intellectual, spiritual, and social revolution. Negroes are scared of that. What is the definition of revolution? Revolution is a sudden, radical, or complete change. A fundamental change in the way of thinking about or visualizing something. A change in paradigm. Negroes and the masses are scared to change. We want relief. We want solutions to our problems. We want success, justice, equality, freedom. We want power, healing, tranquility. We even want heaven. But we don't want to do what is demanded. We don't want to make that transformation. We don't want to make that revolution of our mind. Our minds must be changed 180 degrees. Can you bring up the protractor so they can see what 180 degrees looks like? If you remember from geometry, this is a protractor. And in a protractor, when you change from a 180-degree angle, you go from the opposite to the other opposite. So if you're in the negative zone, a 180 makes you in the positive. And this is what we have to do. But people don't want to change. People don't want to say goodbye to yesterday. Now, why are we holding on to yesterday? And what is yesterday? Is yesterday just a day? Or is it something else? When I say we don't want to say goodbye to yesterday, these are the things I'm talking about. Number one, yesterday is an old mindset of white supremacy and black inferiority. We still are holding on to that today. Can you bring up Torchlight for America, that illuminating book by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? He says this: the whole society is modeled after division in that old mindset of haves and have-nots, of the Lord and the servant, the slave master and the slave, the male and the female. These mindsets, he goes on to say, are reflected in the doctrines of white supremacy and black inferiority, and are perpetuated by the root problems of greed and pervasive immorality. So we have to say goodbye to white supremacy and black inferiority. Both of them are poisons that's wiping out the planet, and black people in particular. Say goodbye. And every time they let black people in any arena, guess what? We say goodbye to yesterday. We say goodbye to white supremacy. They used to not let us in golf. They let us in. Tiger Woods said goodbye to white supremacy. There was a time where there was no black people in the NBA. Very boring game to watch. As soon as they let us in, we said goodbye to white supremacy. Is that right? But not just sports and entertainment. Most of the inventions were invented by black people. But they don't teach you this in the public schools of the white man. We have to say goodbye to that old slave mentality, that old slave mindset. Can you bring up an article that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did in the Pittsburgh Courier, June 23rd, 1956? He said this: the so-called Negroes must know that they have been deceived and be brought face to face with God and the devil. They must get away from the old slavery teaching that Jesus, who was killed 2,000 years ago, is still alive somewhere, waiting and listening to their prayers. That's an old slave mentality. We got to get rid of that mindset that when you die, you go to heaven and you chilling with Tupac and Biggie. And you're rapping with God and the angels. Because you hear that on the radio when someone famous dies. That's all right, because I know you're in a better place. Is a better place 6 feet under with worms eating you at an exponential rate? Is that a better place? Because that's where you are. That's Negro mentality. We have to get away from some of the titles that we brag about and call ourselves. Some of us are happy to call themselves a cutthroat. We got to get rid of being a backbiter, a gossiper. Some men all the time call themselves a player. You know what I mean? See, you don't know about that because, see, I'm a player. How long you going to play, brother? Some of us are snakes. Some of us call ourselves pimps, hustlers, ballers, shot callers. Some, as I said in the last lecture, call themselves a beast. We got to say goodbye to yesterday. Anytime you're happy to call yourself a beast, what if God came to your dinner table for dinner? Would you introduce yourself? What up, guy? You know what I mean? I need to let you know I'm a beast now. He might turn around and leave. We have to say goodbye to that savage beast life, being buck wild savage. We got to say goodbye to that. We got to say goodbye, in particular, brothers, to being unproductive men. What are you 40 years old on PlayStation and Xbox? 5 hours while your wife going to work. We got to say goodbye to that. Talking about, I'm looking for a job, you know what I mean? Still looking for a job. It's hard out here for a pimp. We got to get away from calling ourselves demeaning names. Was mentioned earlier. How can you have, sister, on the back of your car a bumper sticker, badass B, and have no problem with it? How can you have a t-shirt that says, I'm absolutely proud to be a B? And I witnessed this with my own eyes at a mall. And that was not the only t-shirt that the person sold to that person. We call our women whores, skeezers, shorties, chicken heads, hood rats. The hell is wrong with us? And then the brothers call themselves niggas. And we're happy calling ourselves a nigger. We're the only people on the planet that love the title the enemy gives us. So you come up in the club, what up, my niggas? But you know doggone well, if a white man came down here today and said, hey, I just wanted to be amongst you niggas. You beat him down, ask for him to be fired, protest, boycott, is that right? Anytime a white man calls us a nigga, we go crazy. And in the same tongue, what up, my nigga? Or we call ourselves a dog. We got to get rid of the old Negro way. Now, this next quote by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was in a lecture that a brother or somebody posted on the Facebook, and I did not get the title, but it was at the final call. But man, it just summarizes the lecture title. Listen to what the minister said. And your problem is you keep wanting to hold on to the old nigga you. I'll let y'all marinate in there for a few seconds. You don't want to give up the world. You don't want to give up your nigga way in order to become God. Then he says, that's your problem. So we ain't talking about that, then we just talking. And most people don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about the white man. But the minister's saying, we don't want to give up that old nigga way. That's what we have to say goodbye to. Then he says, the world. What world? The world of Satan. And what is the world of Satan? It is the underworld. Can you bring up the minister's lecture, The Role of Detroit in the Rise of Black People in America? He says, the scripture says, as by one man sin entered the world, then death came as a result of sin. All men have sinned. Thus death then covered the whole of humanity. What you are living in right now is the culture of death. You live in the underworld. Child abuse, child molestation, pornography, bestiality, homosexuality, robbery, rape, murder, death, kill. All that's the underworld of Satan. And we are engrossed in that. We got to say goodbye to our old solutions, in particular black people, because we the one with the most problems. We got to give up those old ways of solving our problems. Guess what? Because they ain't working. The mere fact that they old shows you they not working. I'm sorry. Asking black people to keep voting for a new white man or a Negro is not the answer to our problems. And if you turn on Black Talk Radio, that's all you hear. We got to get out the vote now. We got to get out there vote. Well, we got out the vote the year before. There ain't nothing changed. But this year we got to get it out a little more. We got to vote for Biden this time. He the only one got a good chance to beat Trump. We got to say goodbye to that madness. Protesting, begging the slave master for TIF funds, for a grant. We got to get away from that. Making speeches, holding rallies, marches, holding 1,000 conferences where you're talking to the choir. Everybody in there is a presenter, and you're talking to presenters. Too much talking and not enough action. That's the black problem, or one of the black problems. We got to say goodbye to our old self. Oh, we bring it home now. Some of y'all about to leave. We got to say goodbye to our lion self. our not keeping our word self, our sinful self, our destructive self, where we're drinking, smoking, doing all type of madness, popping pills, smoking things, sipping things with syrup, going behind a car and sniffing the gas from the car. People do any doggone thing to get high today. Why? Because we dissatisfied and we stressed. And the problem is we haven't gotten to the root of the problem, which is to say goodbye to yesterday. We got to get rid of that lazy self, that envious self, that angry self, undisciplined self, and that immoral self. Can you bring up Romans 6:6? For we know that our old self was crucified with him, so that the body ruled by sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves to sin. Was it up? No. Can you bring up Colossians 3:9? There we go. Do not lie to each other. Sounds very clear instructions. Since you have taken off your old self with its practices. So it seems like we're getting a command to take off that old self, to say goodbye to the old self. We got to say goodbye to old habits. Some of you doggone well know you got habits that you keep saying, man, I got to get rid of. Man, I got to stop. But you ain't stopping. That was your 2002 resolution. And it's 2019. Man, I got to stop. You know what I mean? I know this is killing me. Damn, but I just got to stop. We got to say goodbye to old superstitions. Stevie Wonder told you what's up with superstitions. Can you bring my powerful brother up? Stevie said, very superstitious. When you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. And we wonder why we're suffering as a people. Because we believe in things that we don't understand. We got to say goodbye to that old ignorant self. Some of us wallow in our ignorance. We're happy. You go to these public schools, particularly amongst the brothers, and brothers will get an F and brag at the cafeteria at lunchtime. What you get? I got a 50, man. I got a 30, you know what I mean? And we happy about that. Happy with our ignorance. What did the prophet, peace be upon him, say about ignorance? He said, one learned Muslim is harder on Shaitan, which is Satan, than 1,000 ignorant worshipers. And those of us in the Nation of Islam, we need to heed that call, because we do a lot of cheerleading. And sometimes we don't even listen to the sentence that the minister says. We just jump up and start screaming. I knew it was going to get a little quiet on that one. Let me move on. We have to say goodbye to our old way of eating, because it's killing us. Bring up How to Eat to Live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said we can take medicine all of our lives until it kills us, but we are still ailing with the same old diseases. The bad food and drinks we are putting into our bodies keeps us a victim to illness. Did you hear what the man said? And some of you know that what you're putting on your plate, what you're grabbing in your hand is killing you. But you are scared to say goodbye to yesterday. You got that glazed donut, and you say to yourself, I know this is not good for me. But you just don't put it down. We got to say goodbye to that old slave name. Some of you signed in: Robinson, Waterhouse, Culpepper, O'Reilly, Roach, Brooke, House, White, Black, Brown. Those are not your original names. So we got to say goodbye to them. We have to get astute today and get a holy name or one of the names of God. Is that correct? We should not want a white boy to knock on the door and say, excuse me, is your name Robinson? Well, my great-great-grandfather was Slave Master Robinson, and I claim you. And what you going to say to him? Ain't no slave. What's wrong with you? Well, you carry my great-great-grandfather's name. I need you to get your nigger behind in the car there, buddy. Because you're still my property. Get rid of that slave name. We got to get rid of that old mindset of self-hatred. We don't need hateration. We got enough of that from our enemy. Is that correct? We need to get rid of that old political mindset. That mindset that says we have to be Democrats or we have to be Republicans. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said we need to build and create our own political party. But then you must understand politics. Stop letting a white boy go into your church, eat chicken at the chicken dinner, and you vote for him because he's eating chicken. Or Hillary comes out and she does the nay-nay. Oh, yeah, you got to vote for her. She's doing the nay-nay. Ain't no other candidate did the nay-nay. She loved black people. The minister said it best. Politics without economics is symbol without substance. We have to get rid of, and I'm glad our beloved sister Shelby is here, got to give honor and respect to our sister that laid the foundation for the reestablishment of Muhammad University of Islam back in 1989. Always get honor, respect to that mighty queen. But we have to get rid of that old educational paradigm of the white man. We're the only people to have an open enemy and send our children to their schools. I know you're upset, but we got security. No, I'm just playing. Yesterday's educational system is ineffective for black people. You would not see a sheep mother sending her sheep children to a wolf school. It would not happen. So bring up the little boy that shows you why we shouldn't go to their schools. He don't look like a happy camper. Now look at the white children, they're happy. They're engaged. But the little black boy is like, damn, why? I'm tired of Columbus, George Washington, Abe Lincoln. I'm tired of being told I was just a slave. I was an immigrant. We got to say goodbye, humanity does, in particular those in power, must say goodbye to four devils. And we're not talking about people. All right, so you ain't got to write that down. Go report it to whoever you're reporting to. We got to say goodbye to nationalism. Too caught up in the country you come from. I'm Panamanian, I'm Ghanaian, I'm from Italy, I'm Italian. But the black man and woman, we had the whole planet Earth, and we do have the whole planet Earth as ours. We didn't break it up and divide it. We got to say goodbye to racism. And that's in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. We have to say goodbye big time to sexism. And we must say goodbye to materialism. Stop getting mad at your mother, young brothers, because she did not buy you the Gucci, Lucci, and Uchi. She brought you Walmart brand. If it does the same thing, thank God you got some clothes. That's materialism. Shoot, I ain't getting no Walmart pocketbook. I got to have Prada, whatever y'all get. Why is it hard to say goodbye to yesterday? Why is change difficult? Why do we love the old way, the old mind, the old lifestyle? Well, do you know that when things are old, they're comfortable? How many of you have an old pair of shoes? Raise your hand. All right, thank you. When you put your feet in that old pair of shoes, it's like you don't even have shoes on. It's so comfortable, isn't it? You have old clothes, suits or dresses or whatever, that when you put it on, it fits perfectly. Old habits, we already know, are hard to break. The home that you're living in, if you've been there 20 years, 30 years, it has become comfortable. Is that correct? You know where everything is, right? Know how many roaches are there with you? You know all that. If you go to a school and you've been to that school 5, 10 years, you know all the teachers, you know all the students, you're comfortable. Is that correct? So people don't want to change because to change means pain. Change means difficulty. Change means struggle, energy, and work. Can you bring up Newton's first law of motion for all my physicists in the house? We know that this law is called the law of inertia, and it says a body at rest or in motion will stay that way unless acted upon by an external force. Is that right? I want to make a new law, not inertia, but a Negro. And it says a Negro will stay a Negro unless acted upon by an external force. Why is it so hard to say goodbye to yesterday? Because saying goodbye to that old self means saying goodbye to pleasure and comfort. This is why some Negroes in powerful positions given to them by the white man would say no to separation. Our beloved sister Ava Muhammad, the national spokesperson of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is on a tour, a panel discussion, town hall meeting on separation. Well, soon we will be taking a vote. But if you are a Negro in a powerful position with a nice car, suburban home, good paycheck, good benefits, you don't want to separate. Why? Because you're comfortable in yesterday. You have a title. You have a desk. You have an office. White people salute you. You're a happy Negro. This sounds familiar to the magicians during the time of Pharaoh. Can you bring up the Holy Quran, Surah 7, ayats 113 to 114? And the enchanters came to Pharaoh saying, we must surely have a reward if we prevail. Prevail in doing what? Tricking Moses, is that right? He sent magicians out to trick Moses or lay down their tricks. He said, yes, and you shall certainly be of those what? Who are near to me. Go back a few months ago when Trump had Negro preachers sitting with him. And one of the Negro preachers said something like, man, you are the answer to our problem. You're very important to black people. He was a Negro that didn't want to say goodbye to yesterday. Today we have leaders, politicians, reverends who love Massa so much that they don't want to say goodbye to yesterday. They don't want to leave their open enemy. Can we bring up this book called Bullwhip Days? I'm going to take you back to the plantation and tell you that we still have the same slave mindset as we were back then. There was a slave on the plantation. Now, Bullwhip Days is not people's account of what slaves said. It's actual slaves talking. Are you ready? So when I say what I'm about to say, I'm not making mockery of the way our people talked back then, all right? This is exactly the way it was quoted. This slave named Giles Smith said this, Yassa, the massa and the missy am the best folks that the Lord could make. Somebody dropped the mic. I don't think you heard that. He said, the massa and the missy am the best folks that the Lord could make. They am good with the work, the clothes, and the play. So this was a happy slave. Probably wasn't a lot of them, but he was happy. He was probably a house Negro because he was happy with the work, happy with the feed, happy with the clothes and the play. This was a slave content with his old way of living, his old way of thinking, the little trinkets and toys that Massa gave him. This should remind you in modern times of Stephen on Django. Y'all remember Samuel Jackson's character? See, as soon as I said Samuel Jackson, look at the anger that came up in some of your faces. Some of y'all wanted to go through the screen and take out Samuel Jackson. All he was doing was playing a role. But he played it so well. He was a Negro that was afraid of revolution. He was a Negro that was scared to say bye-bye to yesterday. See, change is difficult. Have you ever changed homes before? They say moving is one of the most stressful events in our lives. right? You got to change the mail. You got to get things packed. You got to unpack them. Is that right? Then you got to make sure the cable man is there because you got to have your cable. When you change schools, they say that's one of the most stressful things on students or children, to change schools. Because now they got to learn new friends. They got to learn new ways. Is that right? Changing seasons requires what? Energy, power. To change from caterpillar to butterfly requires work, energy, power. Ask the caterpillar. To change from tadpole to frog. And for you and I to change from a clot to an embryo to a fetus to a child. Ask any mother in here, they will tell you that bad boy is some pain. Let's bring up the Holy Quran, Surah 23, speaking about this transformation from sperm to child. Verily, we created man from a product of wet earth, then placed him as a drop of seed in a safe lodging. Then we fashioned the drop into a clot. Then we fashioned the clot into a little lump. Then we fashioned the little lump into bones and clothed the bones with flesh and then produced it another creation. Good Lord, good Lord. How much do we go through to get here, brothers and sisters? Isn't that a lot of work to change from a sperm to a woman or a man? How many of y'all have driven before a car, a truck, a bus? You have something called transmission, is that correct? Do you know that that transmission has to work to go from one gear to the other? Ask your car today, is it in pain every time you shift that gear? My chemist in the house, when you change one chemical into another and do what is called a chemical reaction, can you bring up the chemical reaction? Sometimes that reaction will not take place without what is called a catalyst. So it is difficult to change in a chemical reaction. So now you see why people don't want to change, because they don't want difficulty. They don't want to leave the comfort zone, and the comfort zone, family, is dangerous. They don't want to struggle. They fear leaving what they know. They fear leaving what they're familiar with, what they grew up doing. Can you bring up the Holy Quran, Surah 2, Ayats 170? And when it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, listen to what they say. Nay, we follow that wherein we found our fathers. And then Allah says, what? Even though their fathers had no sense at all? Nor did they follow the right way? So why did they follow the fathers? Because that's what they grew up with. That's what they were comfortable with. They didn't want what Allah was asking them to do because that was new. That required change, transformation. I want to stay a Negro. I want to stay in the comfort zone. This is what my mama told me. This is what my daddy told me. So you ask people why they celebrate Halloween. This is what they did when I was a child. Why do you celebrate Christmas? This is what we did. It's just fun. Everybody did it in my family. But Allah is saying, even though your fathers had no sense at all, and when you celebrate these pagan rituals called holidays, you are showing you have no sense at all. So those that Allah was talking to did not want to change their old ways. They were stuck in yesterday in terms of what their fathers did. You remember somebody, if you can bring up the Bible, Genesis 19:26. You remember somebody's wife named Lot's wife, right? She didn't want to say goodbye to yesterday. Lot was calling everybody out, and God told them, tell the angels, tell them, don't look back. Looking back means you want to stay with yesterday. And everybody was moving forward, and Lot's wife said, wait a minute, got to get that blunt. Wait a minute, I got to watch Housewives. And she didn't want to go forward. She looked back and turned to a pillar of salt. Let's go to the message of the black man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when the time comes for a change in the life of a people, there are those who will not appreciate a change. We'll let that marinate for a few seconds. They are suspicious and doubt that which is other than what they have been believing all their lives. That's why it's so hard for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to teach our people, because we're caught in superstitions and what we've been believing all our lives. So you come with that final call, people get angry. It look like a vampire that met holy water. Because we don't want to change. Some people run from the MGT and FOI when we bring the final. No, I don't want to hear that. Shit, that's going to make me change. I want to stay a nigga. Satan loves for you and I to be scared of revolution. Satan loves for us to not want to say goodbye to yesterday. So what does Satan do? He promotes us staying in the past. Can I prove it? Well, look at the movie industry. You have sequels, prequels, and remakes. And some of you are tired of it, is that correct? Even though you still go pay your money. Listen to what this study said from an article, Hollywood Sequels, and it's from StephenFollows.com. It says, in the past 10 years, the number of films in the top 100 grossing films, which were sequels, has more than doubled. In 2013 and 2014, 7 of the top 10 grossing films were either Hollywood sequels or prequels. Can you bring up King Kong? I'm just going to give you 2 quick examples just in case you're not aware of the sequels doubling. There was the King Kong 1933. Then there was the King Kong 1976. Then there was the King Kong 2005. Then there was the King Kong 2017. And now I'm hearing there's going to be a King Kong versus Godzilla. And some of you are already getting tickets. Can you bring up one of my favorite film series, The Terminator? It's about time to terminate the past. Some of us need a Terminator in our lives so we can say goodbye to yesterday. But y'all remember the original Terminator. There was Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Then came out Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Then Terminator 4, Salvation. Terminator 5, Genesis. And now there's a new one coming out in the fall, Terminator Dark Fate. See, when you run out of creativity, you keep going back to yesterday, rehashing it, and bringing it back. Look how we react when we hear an oldie but a goodie. Some of y'all have been already to a family reunion, and you see people about to fight, Uncle Ray Ray and Uncle Junebug, right? Nigga, get off my face, nigga. And then somebody put on Frankie Bear, nigga. Oh my goodness, that's it right there. Everything stops because that's an oldie but a goodie. We love nostalgia. What is nostalgia? It's a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Some of us love to reminisce. What does it mean to reminisce? To indulge in enjoyable recollection of past events. Why are we staying so much in the past? We love old movies. We love old fashions. It keeps coming back. Is that right? We love old hairstyles. We'll leave that alone. Look how much money is made off of memorabilia. I hope I said that correct. Right? And it could be from a straight out cold killer. And people get $1,000, $10,000, $1 million for Al Capone's tissue. It's memorabilia. A vicious child molester or rapist, well known, they'll sell memorabilia from that individual. You think I'm lying? Please bring up the online store image of someone selling bobbleheads of notorious serial killers. This is not Photoshopped by Brother Shahid. You can go to this website, but I hope you don't. See, we love the old days. What do we call them? The good old days. Is that right? How are they good when we were living other than ourselves? How are they good when we were liars, cheats, thieves, thugs, gangsters, abusers of women and children? That's not the good old days. That's Negro days. Negroes are scared of revolution. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Can we bring up closing the gap? Listen to the beautiful words of the minister. He says, it is the refusal to face the difficulty that accompanies change. that leaves those in ease unwilling to struggle again. They get involved or caught up in a time warp, which then sentences them to death. Anything that refuses to change will eventually die off, family. We cannot continue to refuse to say goodbye to yesterday. Do you know we are dealing now with time? We're taught by Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that time dictates agenda. Do we know what time it is the question. Do we know what time we're living in? Or if you don't know what time it is and what to do in the time, you and I need to go on to NOI.org, revisit, reflect, and play back that powerful, mind-stimulating, spiritually uplifting 58-part series called The Time and What Must Be Done. You haven't seen that, you have missed tremendously. In the Holy Quran, Al-Asr, Surah 103, Allah says, by the time, surely man is in loss. We're in loss by the time because we're not doing what is required in the time. And guess what's required? Change. See, we're living in judgment time, if you have not seen already. We're in July now almost, and we have not hit past 80 degrees in Chicago. The whole planet is in turmoil weather-wise. Is that correct? That's because it's a different time. It's judgment time. It's destruction of the wicked time. It's removal of evildoers time. It's removal of satanic forces time. It's removal of the synagogue of Satan time. It's time for the chastisement of Allah God. And if you and I want to avoid Allah's wrath, if we want to survive the judgment, make it through the destruction, we have to change. We have to say goodbye to yesterday's old self. Can you bring up Bible, 2 Chronicles? If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. See, everybody's happy about that, but you're missing the key verb. It says turn. 180 degrees is a turn, is that right? If you drive it and you make a 180, you're going to go in the opposite direction. So Allah's telling you and I, we got to turn from our wicked ways. In mathematics, we call that a conditional. If, then. All of us want the then, but we don't want to do the if. Notice Allah God requires us to turn, which means we must rid ourselves of the old wicked self. We got to muster up the strength. We got to fight the power, as Public Enemy says. We got to have the fortitude to say goodbye to yesterday's wicked, sinful ways. But there is a problem. 85% of the planet refuses to change. 85% refuse to give up the old. They do not wish to say goodbye to yesterday. Well, in our lessons, we're told who is the 85%. Now, I'm just dealing with one part of it. It says the 85% are people who are easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to lead in the right. Why is it easy for us to go in the wrong direction? Because that's what we were born in. Born in sin, shaped in iniquity. So it's all a part of us. It's like a comfortable old pair of shoes. It fits beautifully, being in the wrong direction. But to go in the right direction is like these fish that I want you to see the image of. Can you bring up these wonderful fish? Notice the white school of fish is traveling in one direction. No racism that they're white fish. I just got the picture, all right? Please do not charge us with racism. But the white fish is like the wrong direction. In America, pretty much everybody going that way. 85% of the planet. But if you want to be that one fish that wants to go in the opposite direction, you're going against the tide. And most people don't want to do that because it requires a change in direction. It requires a change in elevation and transformation of the mind. And we don't want that pain and that suffering. Can you bring up Ephesians 4:21-22? You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. If you and I want salvation, family, we must change. But the problem is the masses, black people in particular, are scared of revolution. Can you bring up the Holy Quran, Surah 9? Allah says, "O you who believe, what excuse have you that when it is said to you, go forth in Allah's way, you should incline heavily to earth?" Are you contented with this world's life instead of the hereafter? The provision of this world's life is but little as compared with the hereafter. See, humanity is content with Satan's world. Let's go to the lessons, supreme wisdom, given to us by Master Fard Muhammad, to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to the Lost Foundation of Islam. He says in lesson 2, question 8, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? Now, I'm not giving the whole answer for time. I just want you to focus on this part. But this water is not ever drawn above 6 miles from the earth's surface by the sun and moon. It's interesting that the gravity holds the water and does not allow it to go past 6 miles. What do we know about the number 6? Count the number of the what? Beast. And the black man gave the white man, or the enemy, the devil, Satan, the number 6 as his number. So when you and I refuse to change, refuse to say goodbye to yesterday, and we are content in Satan's world, just as that water will not go past 6 miles, you and I can't go past Satan's world. And we're stuck in a rut in hell. So how can we escape Satan's world? How can we get out of this decadent, evil, sinful debauchery and savagery? Well, in aerodynamics, the only way to escape the gravitational pull of the earth is you got to travel a certain speed. I need you to fasten your seatbelts, please. Can you bring up the speed that we must travel? It is called in science escape velocity. What a beautiful name. Escape velocity is the speed that an object needs to be traveling to break free of a planet or moon's gravity. And guess what that speed is? Are you ready? I need you to write this down so you can travel it today. 25,000 miles per hour. If you don't go 25 miles per hour in the air, you're going to come straight back down. That's escape velocity. Well, we need an escape velocity so we can escape Satan's gravitational pull on us. We need a force, a power to propel us out of Satan's world. What force and power exists? What will be our catalyst for change? Who has the power to change and transform us? Well, the minister answers the question so beautifully in the Time and What Must Be Done series. Listen to his words. This is a savage place, and so God had to come to begin the transformation of our lives. Our minds must be renewed. So Allah God is the answer. He has the power to transform. Just as light strikes the planets, it makes them rotate and revolve. It is the light of Allah God striking our minds that will cause you and I to begin to change. Praise be to Allah. Let's bring up the minister's lecture where he gives a wonderful definition of revolution. He did this lecture in Tripoli, Libya in 2000. There is no real revolution until the light of knowledge strikes our minds. And there comes a transformation of the mind. The gun can never transform the mind. Only greater knowledge can transform the mind. Well, no one has greater knowledge than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one's light is more luminous than Allah's. That's why one of his names is Al-Nur, the light. Not a light, but the light. This is why one of his names is Al-Alim, the all-knowing, Al-Mu'id, the one who brings back the creatures after death, the restorer, the resurrector. He's Al-Ra, the nourisher unto perfection. We're taught that the greatest force is the remembrance of Allah. But we have to make sure we put a footnote. We are not speaking of an invisible Allah. We're not speaking of a spook Allah. We're not speaking of a figment of imagination. We're not speaking of some spiritual entity that no one can see and explain. We're not speaking of an incomprehensible force. We are speaking of the real, living, breathing Allah who came in the person of a man, a perfect man. July 4th, 1930, we're speaking of the Mahdi, Master Fard Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. Allah is the perfect one for the job in the mission of transformation of human lives from an old mentality, morally, spiritually dead man or woman, to be a reflection of God. Allah makes all things new. Can we go to Isaiah in the Bible, 65:17? It says, see, I, God talking, will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. And then in Revelations 21:5, and he who was seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. So Allah, God, family, has the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, the science, and supreme mathematics to make all things new, including you and I, to transform us from the old self that we need to say goodbye to into a new self. But guess what? He's just not going to do it magically. He requires something from us. Can you go to Holy Quran, Surah 13:11? Surely Allah changes not the condition of a people until they what? Change their own condition. So Allah, God, is going to help us. He's going to assist us in the transformation process, but you and I must do the work. We must struggle. We must overcome difficulty. We must be the catalyst for the process. Look at the minister's beautiful words in that beautiful self-improvement study guide. This is in the introductory letter. The rising to life of the spiritually dead and the great resurrection are one and the same. And the first stage in our spiritual resurrection occurs through the stimulation of our self-accusing spirit. That is when the inner voice speaks, guides, warns, reproves, exhorts, and accuses us of going contrary to what is right. This phase of our development is designed, by the help of Allah God, to bring about a transformation or complete change in our lives. This is done by stimulating self-analysis and self-correction in us. So if you notice, it involves us. We got to do it. And we should have known that because Michael Jackson told us that. Can you bring up our wonderful, illustrious Michael Jackson? We know he had a song, Man in the Mirror. And he said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him or her to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at who? Yourself, not your neighbor, not your cut buddy. And then what? Make a change. We have to say goodbye to yesterday and make that change. We also have to understand change is going to happen whether you and I change or not. It's a universal law. Sam Cooke told you that. He said, it's been a long time coming. But I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Master Fard Muhammad told us, bring up the supreme wisdom, instructions to the laborers. He said, cannot a fool, man, he made it plain, cannot a fool see that a mighty change is in progress in every living creature? So change is mandatory, family. Change is critical to survival. Change is destined. We must build our will, however, to change. Bring up Torchlight for America, page 142. The minister says, the desire to change must come before change can come. Desire must feed the will. And the will of the human being is what empowers us to make the change. It is written in the Holy Quran that Allah will never change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So the burden is not on God to change us. Listen, the burden is on us to change when knowledge comes that dictates that we must change. Then we must develop the will to change. Is everybody all right? So how do we gain the will, the desire, the strength to leave the old self and transform into the new? Well, the Bible says, let this mind be in you, the same that was in Christ Jesus. We need the mind of Christ. We need the spirit of Christ. We need to live the example of the Christ. We need to see one who has been transformed into Christ. Well, I'm happy to tell you there is one. Matter of fact, two. That one that Allah raised, exalted, transformed, elevated, and resurrected was first a mentally, spiritually, and morally dead so-called Negro. Blind to the knowledge of self, God in our enemy. But he met a man, and that man is Master Fard Muhammad. And after 3.5 years of intense study, trials, teaching, and supreme education, this one was totally transformed into a new man. He represents the new man in this new dispensation of time. He represents the first begotten from the dead. And now he is the Christ, the Messiah, second in power only to Allah God. We're speaking of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. So if you and I desire a new mind, a new world, then we must connect our minds to the mind of Christ. And that Christ is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And not only him, in this present time, we cannot leave yesterday, go into the new without the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's wonderful, illustrious, divinely guided and backed, master student, supreme representative and minister, the modern day Jesus, Muhammad, David, Moses, Aaron, the national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These two are the body of Christ, the mind of Christ, the spirit of Christ. You know that they are the Christ figures because all over the world, there are millions that have put their mind in their mind and were transformed 180 degrees. From an old Negro, dead, spiritually, mentally, morally, economically, into a brand new man and woman. Praise be to Allah. The true and dedicated followers and disciples of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, you will know them because they're transformed 180 degrees from their old selves. All of us can show you before and after pictures. No one transforms like Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. Their followers stand out in the world like diamonds amongst pieces of coal. When you give your life to Islam, as taught by Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, you will see an instantaneous change in your life. You become new in appearance, new in thoughts, new in knowledge and wisdom, new in your lifestyle, new in your relationships, new in your mindset, disposition, and character. Now, there are many around the world to claim that they have the way. if you just go down Halstead Street in Chicago, you will count about 1,000 churches, all of them claiming to be the way. You have people that say they have the solution, they have the method, they have the right message, the right program, the right pastor, the right preacher, the right scholar, imam, or sheikh. But none has a proven track record of the power to transform, resurrect, and redeem fallen humanity like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. None of them. Can you bring up Our Savior Has Arrived? Because I'm past my dedicated time that I usually like to close. In our, some of y'all looking at your clock. Usually Bush Shahid is going, but we're almost there, all right? The plane is landing, as Mr. Ishmael likes to say. Preachers, you are making a poor job of trying to reform your people. See, now Elijah Muhammad's answering these wannabes. Why do not they come to me? When they come to me, you see a difference in their actions, in their talk, in the way that they dress, because it is the spirit and power of Allah God and the truth that I teach them, and they change themselves. You don't need a patch. You don't need a program to drop cigarettes. You get in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and find out you are a God, you put that bad boy down overnight. That's the power of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Can you bring up the black man that met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? He said bye to yesterday. Can you bring up the black woman that met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan? She said goodbye to yesterday. This is what living the life of a Muslim follower of Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan produces: a new man and woman on the planet. Can you bring up Bible, Corinthians 5:17? Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan are beyond a shadow of a doubt the living, breathing Christ figures. Because when we put their minds into our minds, we become new creatures. You might have looked like these following pictures yesterday. Can you bring them up, please? Yesterday. Scared to death Negro. Bring up the next one. Yesterday. Oh. Bring up the next one. Yesterday. Bring up the next one. Yesterday. And by the way, these are men. So we got to say goodbye to that. Is that right? But after coming into the nation of Islam, and not the wannabes, not the perpetrators, the real nation of Islam under Minister Farrakhan, then you say goodbye to that yesterday. And you start looking like this, the new. You start looking like this, the new. And when the black woman comes into the nation of Islam, she starts looking like that. Your children start looking like this. All praise is due to Allah. All right, let's land the plane. How does Allah God make us new creatures? In Our Savior Has Arrived, look at what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He makes all things new. The first way to bring about something new is to change the way of thinking of the people. When you have removed from the people the old mind and idea, then you can insert new ideas into their minds. Well, you know that fits the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, because in 1930, nobody was given this type of wisdom. Nobody was teaching the theology of time, the making of the white race, the self-creation of God, giving you the diameter of the universe, telling you the reality of the mothership, how to eat to live, how to give birth to a God, the total atoms. Come on now. Nobody knew the speed of thought. Elijah Muhammad is brand new in Minister Farrakhan. But we got a public service announcement as we close. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this on another Pittsburgh Courier article. His teachings will be called a new Islam and will be opposed by many who would not like a change from the old to a higher knowledge of the divine. So we see a clear example of this today with present-day disbelievers, hypocrites, naysayers, wannabes, and so-called self-made scholars on YouTube. These Negroes, like termites, think that they know and want to critique every move, every decision, every action, every program of the man of God, Minister Farrakhan. They're caught up in a time warp, and they have not matured with the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They claim to be more knowledgeable than Minister Farrakhan, more wise, more educated on the teachings. Yet we see no change in them. We see no light emanating from them. We see no works, no resurrection of anybody. They won't even show us the crowd that they talking to on YouTube. Because there probably ain't nobody in there but their wife and children. They are speaking baby language. And our lessons warn us against that. Laborers are liable to punishment if found using baby language at any time. And baby language is not just cursing. The minister says baby language is an immature understanding and representation of the teachings. You stuck in the past. And so the Holy Quran shuts your mouth. In Surah 53, the star, your companion errs not, nor does he deviate, nor does he speak out of desire. It is naught but revelation that is revealed. See, you Negroes that want to talk about the minister, you're not getting no revelation. Flies wouldn't want to be around you. We cannot become new without the magnificent examples of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. They are the prototype, the blueprint, the model, the example, perfect example of the new man. The minister said in Self-Improvement Study Guide, I met a man who taught me, and I am not the same old Negro I once was. I am a man now with healing in my wings, and yet I am a student of another man. We have got to give credit where credit is due. I met a man, and that man is a doctor. He doctored on me so that I could doctor on you. That man is Elijah Muhammad. All right. So, as we close, let us fly to Allah God, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. Let us fly to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan and your nation of Islam. Then you and I will be able to make it to the hereafter, the paradise. Now, some of you didn't get fired up when I said that. That's probably because you don't know what's going to be like, what it's going to be like there. So I want to read some words as we close from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about what it's going to be like on the other side. And maybe that'll encourage us to change. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, the earth, the general atmosphere will produce such a change that the people will think that it is a new earth. It will be the heaven of the righteous forever. No sickness, no hospitals, no insane asylums, no gambling, no cursing, swearing will be seen or heard in that life. Marinate on that for a few seconds. But he goes on. Fear, grief, and sorrow will stop on this side as a proof. Every one of us who accept the religion of Islam and follow what God has revealed to me will begin enjoying the above life here. Praise be to Allah. I don't know about you, but I want tickets to that place. How do you get there, Brother Shahid? You got to say goodbye to yesterday. We have to make that change so we can make it to this new heaven. We have to do what Harold Melvin in the Blue Note said. I know y'all like, he gets all these songs. They said, if you can bring up Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We got to change it, y'all. Just you and me. So I'm asking you, if you can bring up that last slide, I'm asking you and I, let's change the world. Minister Farrakhan's beautiful album project, Let's Change the World. May Allah bless each and every one of you with the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. All right, the lecture title is very fitting with the questions we're going to ask you. How many of you believe that, how many of you are here for your very first time? We like to recognize our VIP special guests. Can you put your hand high in the air? Beautiful. Can we give them some love? We just talked about how hard it is to want to change. How many of you believe that what you heard today is the truth and good for our people and the masses of the planet? Can you put your hand back in the air? All right. How many of you are ready to say goodbye to yesterday and are ready to stand right now and join on to your own nation of Islam? I'm looking for the brothers and the queens that's ready to do that. Stand boldly right now. Stand boldly right now. We don't have any Wakanda queens that's ready to say goodbye to yesterday. Come on and stand. I would like to have the honor, privilege, and joy of shaking your hand. All we're doing is welcoming you home to your own. You are not being converted. You are going to accept your own and be yourself. I would like to have that honor and privilege. Come on down, all the brothers and sisters, meet me at the pearly gates.
All praise is due to Allah. Those who are watching via webcast, if you could go down the aisle and shake the hand of the local representative of the Nation of Islam in your city. Or if you want more information, if you're watching this from home or in your car, check the button that says information, send us an email, and we will be able to get you in contact with the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam in your city. All praise is due to Allah. We thank Allah for that wonderful representation by Student Minister Shahid Muhammad this morning. Let's show our appreciation for the wonderful, wonderful teaching that we received today. We thank Allah for such a wonderful, transformative message this morning. And as the last brother shakes hands with Student Minister Shahid Muhammad, let's show our love and appreciation for Student Minister Shahid Muhammad for that wonderful, wonderful representation this morning. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. And he usually asks this at the beginning, but how are you feeling? How are you thinking now? See, now that's the key, right? And we're thinking so much better by the grace of Allah after having received that beautiful message this morning. With that being said, we have just 2 pieces of information and parts of our program to take care of, and we're going to ask our brothers and sisters to come forward with the charity receptacles. This is part of our worship service, and is part of the pillars of our faith, and it's called charity. If we could pass the charity receptacles. We want change, don't we? Change means we have to be willing to part with things that used to be important to us yesterday to show and prove what is really important to us. So we don't want just you to take out coins or bills. That's one part of charity. But the act of charity is about what takes place in the heart with what you put in the receptacle. It could be charity to give $1,000, but not if you have $1 million in the bank. It's like giving a penny or a nickel. The value of the charity is not the quantity that we put in, it's the quality of what we put in. So you may not have anything in your pocket to give right now, yet you could still give charity. You know how? You showing up here today was charity. You accepting today was not just charity for us, it was charity for yourself. We started by sacrificing the old and being a part of the new. So we thank you for whatever you're willing and able to sacrifice and give in the cause of truth to support the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we don't want anyone to feel bad if you didn't have anything to give. It's not about what you put in the receptacle. that is put in front of you, it's what we put in this receptacle. And then what comes out of this body, the receptacle, that we go out and we receive today charity from Allah through our brother, student minister Shahid Muhammad, in the form of priceless information, invaluable knowledge. And if we take heed to that, we will be able to come back the next time and have something in our pocket and use this mathematical theology in a way to gain some benefit for ourselves. Is that all right with everyone? With that being said, we want to make a quick announcement locally, or a couple of quick announcements right after prayer locally. But right before that, we want to make sure that everyone is aware that Friday, July 12th through July 14th, we will be hosting our annual National Training Convention. That is Friday, July 12th through Sunday, July 14th. It's going to be taking place at the Pheasant Run Resort in St. Charles, Illinois. Make sure you get your information. If you need more information, go to www.thevskjujitsu.com. That's www.the, the letters VSK, Jiu-Jitsu, and I know I'm going to spell that for you, JIUJITSU.com. You can get all the information there. There's going to be workshops, of course, martial arts training, a summer youth formal, where our young people, you know, we don't do proms necessarily, but this is an opportunity for our young people to get together in a righteous environment and do what we do in a righteous environment and have a good time dancing and doing the things that we enjoy to do. Excuse me. As well, we will also be having a youth and adult division of martial arts competition and a VSK Jiu-Jitsu Olympics. All of this is taking place July 12th through the 14th. Register now. Go online. If you need more information, you could also call 773-769-7017 or visit thevskjujitsu.com. With that being said, if everyone has been given an opportunity to give in charity, we're going to ask everyone here to rise for prayer. Then we're going to ask everyone here to hold your positions. You won't even have to sit down, but once we finish in prayer, we just have one really quick local announcement for everyone. So with that being said, attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Ameen. Thank you for tuning in, those on the webcast. Assalamu alaikum. Those who are here in Chicago.
Are you tired of corporate-controlled media? Then it's time to subscribe to a new way of gaining access to independent and timely news coverage. Introducing the Final Call Digital Edition. The Final Call Digital Edition is on the cutting edge of print news delivery. The Final Call Digital Edition carries in-depth reporting and thought-provoking analysis of both national and international news. Get out of the old and get into the new. Subscribe to Final Call Digital Edition at digital.finalcall.com.
Latest edition of the Final Call newspaper as well.